Hi, in this video I want to speak further about Hermes and his relation to being the prodigal son and how that relates to the Marvel Universe, DC Comics and Superman, how it relates to Harry Potter, how it relates to 2001 Space Odyssey, and hundreds of other movies, and basically the realm of the occult and company logos and many other things, as well as obviously the Bible. So start with the Bible, and firstly Christianity. Christianity is going through a change in that it is under the researchers Jonathan Cahn and Dr. Thomas Horn and Derek Gilbert and Sharon Gilbert with Skywatch TV and many other scholars, understanding its Jewish roots. And many Jews are understanding, like Jonathan Cahn, that Jesus Christ is the Son of God. So in the Bible, the fathers shall come to the sons, and that's a specific verse about how the Christians are the fathers and the fathers will come to the sons being the Jews, and how they will be as one in the end times, which is now. So in the parables of Jesus, they're not just stories as we know, they're prophetic, and there's so much knowledge within each one that it's only just been rediscovered as it were, how important these parables are and how they relate to the pagan gods who were simply angels, fallen angels. So within the 10 virgins, we see that there are 10 virgins, and they took lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom, Jesus, and 5 of them were wise and 5 were foolish. I won't read the whole parable, but that's an allusion to the fact that 50% of all Christians are not believing in Jesus fully, and not watching for him, not waiting for him. They're not doing their full research. They're not true Christians, basically, according to Jesus himself. Within specifically, if I can find it, of the prodigal son. I've marked it. Forgive me, I've marked. Here we go. I've actually just found it. So within the prodigal son, and I'm just going to read it actually, because at the moment I've not got the editing where I can put up the parable on the screen, but I will do in future videos. So, prodigal son. And he said, a certain man had 2 sons. And within the parables, a certain man is usually Jesus. Or God. A certain man had 2 sons, and the younger of them said to his father, Father, give me the portion of goods that falls to me. And he divided to them his property. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together, and took his journey into a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and they sent him into the fields to feed swine. And he would rather have filled his belly with husks that the swine did eat, and no man gave to him. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father's have bread enough and to spare, and I perish with hunger? Within the parables, hired servants means the angels. There were, after the flood of Noah, the number is used as 72, but 72 means everything within the Bible. So there were these 72 angels that were set up to watch over man, and they were the ones who went with women, fornicated with women, Zeus and angels and Apollo and Pan, Hermes. So, and he arose and came to his father, but when he was yet a great way off, his father saw him, and the compassion ran, and fell on his neck and kissed him. And the son said to him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and in your sight, and am no more worthy to be called your son. But the father said to his servants, the angels, Bring forth the best robe, and put it on him, and put a ring on his hand, and shoes on his feet, and bring here the fatted calf, and kill it, and let us eat and be merry, for this my son was dead, and is alive again, and he was lost, and he is found. Now, unbelievably, there's only one angel specifically mentioned within Roman writings, who died, and that was Pan. Pan died. He was a god of shepherds. He was a sex god. He had devil's horns. He's literally the representation of the devil, in that he had horns and he had goat's legs. He was half man, half goat, and this is where we get, believe it or not, Puck in a Midsummer Night's Dream, and it's where we get some allusions to Robin Hood from Nottingham. It's where we get many stories about fairies within the woods, because he used to chase nymphs in Arcadia, which was an island in Greece, and which is mentioned in Doctor Who very clearly within the film with Matt Thomas. I've got his name right, I don't know. But within the film with Tom Baker, you can clearly see there's links to it, and there's allusions to Pan within Doctor Who all over the place, within the names and stuff. So he was dead and is alive again. See, there's a story that he died, Pan, but within some games and within the Nordic religion, Loki somehow was able to become human again. He was able to become human, from an angel to a human. I can't remember which game it is, but there's a game where he uses a device and becomes human, and I'll put that in the link below. So his eldest son was in the field, and as he came and drew near to the home, he heard music and dancing. I mean, it's such a throwaway thing to say music and dancing, because obviously that's what we do. We celebrate when we have Christmas. We celebrate Jesus' birth. But it's so specific to Pan in that he's literally where we get the word pandemic, by the way, and it's where we get the word panic, and it's where we get the word panpipes. He created panpipes, and he, for those who are like under 25 or 30, whatever, like, you might be interested to know that he had like a music rap battle with Apollo, and he kind of like, he won that battle, and Apollo is a god of music, and he was also a poet, just the same as like Pan was a rustic poet. And so they had this battle, and Apollo is the one who gave Hermes forgive me for saying it, mispronouncing, but it's the caduceus, the long symbol with the snake around of it. That was given to Hermes, and you see this throughout Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. In Percy Jackson, it's basically Ben David, but they change the father. They say that the father is Poseidon, who was Neptune. There were three brothers, as you may know, Hades, Zeus, and Neptune. So those are the three gods that everybody remembers. And Apollo being the antichrist. So within Revelation, he is clearly indicated as being the antichrist. Within all these films, you can see Apollo is the antichrist. He was also the god of hell. He had the keys to hell. Within the Moon Knight series on Disney Plus, you can see that there is an allusion to the fact that there's also like a mirror to heaven. So you have heaven, where obviously Jesus is the Lord of all, with Jehovah, and then you have this mirror to the afterlife, which is what hell, where Apollo holds true. Now let's talk a little bit more about these parables. So he said to him, your brother has come, your father has killed the fatted calf, because he has received him safe and sound. And he was angry and would not go in. Therefore came his father out and entreated him. And he answering said to his father, Lo, these many years do I serve you, neither transgressed I at any time your commandment, and yet you never gave me a kid, that I might make merry with my friends. But as soon as this your son has come, who has devoured your living with harlots, and you have killed for him, and the fatted calf. And he said to him, Son, you are ever with me, and all that I have is yours. It was necessary that we should make merry, and be glad, for this your brother was dead, and is alive again, and was lost, and is found. Now, this actual book is written by John Close, and it's terrible actually. A lot of this is just conjecture that he writes about, so I'm not going to actually read from what he says to explain this, but the main Christians believe that the prodigal son is man. Every one of us has gone astray, and the father is obviously God, and the brother is the Jews who don't believe in Jesus and don't believe in this return, as it were. And I've got another video where I speak about this more clearly. So, but I would state that it's very clear that the Father is Chronos here in the literal sense, because within the Bible everything happens twice. You have a literal meaning, usually pagan, and then a metaphorical meaning. It comes true literally and metaphorically. There's pagan roots, in the first sense. So, Kronos being the father of Zeus, and in the genealogies there's some discrepancies, but Kronos is the father of Zeus and Loki. And even though Loki's adopted, but Loki wants to be the king of Midgard, which is Earth, and Zeus obviously wants to be the number one god. So there's that rivalry, which is why it repeats with Ben David. And so, going back, there's music, like I say, there's calves used. That's symbolic because Hermes was a thief in the night because he stole cattle from Apollo. So he was called a thief in the night, and Jesus says he'll return like a thief in the night. And for those people who don't believe that Pan's in the Bible, I have a 1611 anniversary Bible, a very expensive Bible. I've mentioned it before, but in the anniversary essay it mentions that there's an allusion to Pan within the Bible, within I think it's the Songs of Solomon, and also specifically there are mentions that it's mentioned within the Bible, like within the stories of Paul traveling to the world and giving his speeches. One of the apostles is mistaken as Hermes. Nothing in the Bible is there without reason. So and obviously Apollo would say that he kept his commandments with Kronos, or Zeus would say it. It's difficult to say which is the oldest son. But he kept the commandments of his father. But Loki went astray. He went with women and he blew it, basically. And so every son that's gone astray can relate to this story, can relate to Pan. Within the Good Shepherd, which again talks about Jesus as being the Good Shepherd who is the gatekeeper. Well, within the Bible, in Jeremiah, there is an allusion to the Good Shepherd and the Bad Shepherd. And the Good Shepherd is revealed as being Jesus, when Jesus speaks in the New Testament. He says, I am the Good Shepherd. But within the films that mention Ben David, like Harry Potter, 2001 Space Odyssey, and other films, there is another Good Shepherd who is this Ben David. And just to give some background about how difficult it is for Christians to ascertain that it is Jesus who comes back and fulfills all these things, right? Jesus wasn't comely. It mentions that this Messiah will be comely. All the 7 major religions, including Islam and Buddhism and Hinduism, speak of the same Messiah. So in Islam it's the Mahdi, in Hinduism it's Kalki, in Buddhism it's Maitreya. Within the Hollow on Netflix, it's about a man called Adam. Ben David is a second Adam. He must find the branch, which Jonathan Kahn says is Jesus, but within this Netflix series he's searching for the branch of an ironwood tree, which if you look online you'll see that Maitreya finds enlightenment underneath a ironwood tree. Maitreya being the last Buddha, Maitreya being an epithet, it's not his real name. The Mahdi is not his real name, it's an epithet, his title. Ben David is a title, it simply means son of David. So in Isaiah it mentions a myrtle tree, and a myrtle tree is an ironwood tree. It's an ironwood tree is an Indian myrtle tree. And Ben David will rebuild third temple. This is why he is a myrtle tree, because in Shavuot you have a myrtle tree, part of Shavuot, and it's all about building the third temple. So obviously within Islam they don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God, but within Judaism they don't believe that Jesus was the Son of God. That's why this figure will unite all the religions. Within the teachings of Islam it even says that this Messiah will be hidden. Within the Bible it says he will be hidden in God's quiver, and God's quiver is an allusion to a arrow sack, and the reason being that God will chip away at this Messiah to the point that he will become a straight arrow, and because he is mortal and he can sin, and he will be within occultation, which means that he will be hidden for his own safety. And obviously Jesus wasn't hidden. He's the most well-known man in history. I could just reel off 15 things that Jesus didn't do that Ben David will do. Bring peace to the earth. In his lifetime he never did. Rebuild the temple, it was destroyed. Bring all the tribes together. Say unite all the religions. Physically defeat the antichrist. Because it in these films it alludes to, and within Jeremiah, that there is a real battle between Ben David and Apollo. But within the teachings of the Bible we are led to believe that Apollo is already here, the Antichrist, and he has been here for a very long time. And the reason being is that within Judaism there is a belief in transmigration, which is reincarnation, and the Christians don't know about this, and it's heavily taught within Buddhism and Hinduism, and even within the Quran. So obviously there's been a war on terror with Islam, and there are many teachings within the Quran that are completely misunderstood. So there's a part of the Quran that says that we go to and fro from here, as in this world, to God. We either take the right hand path or left hand path. If we take the right, we go to God, go to heaven. If we take the left, there's a school within religion where we have the right hand path, which is a rejection of materialism and a belief in a God, and there's the left hand path, which is materialism, and it's the occult, and it's basically alchemy, which is what this is all about in terms of Pan, because Pan was the god of alchemy. Within Harry Potter it's all about alchemy, and alchemy was the ancient word for science, as it were, but it involved magic and the occult and spells, and you would think that's all make-believe, that it doesn't exist, but it's heavily part of the occult, which we can see has completely decloaked, like the Klingon ship, and is here to stay for a while. And it makes perfect sense that the occult would believe in Pan, and that he would actually be, as they say, he was devil's horns, goat's legs. That's where we get the image of God, God's enemy, the devil. And it would make perfect sense that the antichrist would have a brother, albeit a half brother. In some instances it's his son, would return and actually defeat him, just like David and Goliath, because that would be ultimate justice, wouldn't it? That would be Superman. And within Orthodox Judaism, Ben David will have superhuman powers. Now, I don't know about this, in that within the Matrix, Elijah is obviously Morpheus, and he brings in Neo, who is an anagram of 1, and then Neo develops powers and he's able to fly. And in the latest Matrix, there's an allusion to Hermes in one of the scenes. He enters a building and there's a white marble sculpture with Hermes and his winged hat. He had winged hat and he had winged sandals, so he could fly. Like I say, it's listed throughout thousands of songs, Pan, hundreds of movies, hundreds of poems. You may know him as Oz, the Wizard of Oz. He was known as Oz, Puck, Robin Goodfellow. You'll see Apollo symbol with the laurel tree leaves. That's an allusion to Apollo. You'll know Apollo's symbol, which is simply With the Xbox logo, a circle with an X in it, that meant the sun god in Babylonian times. And you'll see that symbol throughout the entire nature of popular culture and Hollywood and in the media, and just in random cartoons. And I'll make a video where I put an edit of all these times you see a circle with an X in it. Sometimes it's a cross with an X, but it's the same thing, and it goes back to the symbol of Apollo, who was known as a different name in Babylonian times. And the Babylonians, they were the ones who created the zodiac, and they numbered their gods, and the 666th god was Apollo. So that's why he's 666. And there are many parables, like I say, where I don't have a decent book that outlines this. It's difficult to find them on Amazon, I know, but there must be books where these parables are fully explained, and I wish Jonathan Cahn would probably rewrite books like this and explain it. But I might do a version where I explain how many times there are allusions to pagan gods in these, or paganism within Jesus's parables, and how prophetic they are